I'm Stygian Tiger reading Words on a Page by Tranquil Serenity. The feather duster brushed back and forth, sliding across the wood desk with a rhythm in tune with the song Spike was singing as he cleaned. Today, he had been decidedly thorough with his tidying, this time finding himself diligently at work cleaning Starlight Glimmer's room in the palace. He lifted a small porcelain unicorn figure to get the dust beneath it, placing it gently back afterwards. He smiled in satisfaction at his work thus far. The room was practically gleaming, or glimmering as the case may be. Suddenly, however, the little dragon noticed something.
Aha!
He said aloud.
Thought I would miss you there, didn't you?
The recipient of his words was an inanimate object that had fallen into his line of sight, namely, a sloppy off-centre bedsheet.
Not on my watch, blanket,
he announced in jovial determination, approaching the bed. Reaching out to readjust the rebel comforter, however, his right foot struck against some unknown lightweight object, and he felt the impact cause it to push something further underneath the bed.
Huh?
Spike bent down, reaching a claw under and feeling around. Grasping, he pulled the mystery item out and held it aloft to get a good look.
Book?
It really wasn't surprising to see one of these in the castle, let alone in Starlight Glimmer's room. But under a bed? That was a little strange. Not that Spike had made a habit of looking underneath ponies' beds, mind you. It was just that it really wasn't the place for a book. Starlight knew how important every scroll and hardcover in Twilight's library was, and yet this one was just tossed underneath a piece of furniture to gather dust. Spike opened up the purple cover and scanned the page. It definitely wasn't a printed book. Whether it had been written by a unicorn's horn, a pony's mouth, or the claw of some other creature, he couldn't say. But the fact that it had been made in such a way, and likely was the only copy in existence, just made it all the more valuable. Spike would have to have a talk with Starlight about this. Clyde and the Lost Pearl of Trotting Hoof, by April Mist. Spike blinked. He didn't recognize the title or the author, but it's probably one of those books from that box that Twilight had received early yesterday morning. The books had been so small in number that she'd ended up putting them all away on the shelves without needing to ask for his assistance. Well, he'd been cleaning for a good long while, and now that he had a new book in his claw, he figured he might as well read it. It sounded like the perfect way to relax after all that work, and who knows, it could just turn out to be really good. The little dragon sat down on the floor, turned to the next page, and began to read. The stallion laughed heartily, for after an adventure such as he'd had, the lessons he'd learned had not only helped him come to appreciate life, but also the insurmountable number of wonderful little moments it was made up of, each one making it all the more worth living. The end. Spike smiled contently as he closed the book. It had only taken him a few hours to finish, and the story had been amazing. Clyde was a great action hero, and the story had ended so well. Spike would have to ask Twilight to order some more stories by April Mist right away, and hopefully the book he'd just read had a sequel too. The little dragon stood up and stretched after sitting for so long. Then he turned his head out the door with a book in his claw. Abruptly, however, the door swung open and in walked Starlight Glimmer.
Oh, hey Spike. What you doing?
The unicorn's expression had gone from nonchalant to panicked in just a matter of split seconds. And her volume as her sentence changed from cohesive to desperate gorilla was increased astronomically.
Ow!
Spike said, rubbing an ear.
I was just heading downstairs to put this old book away. I found it on the floor while I was cleaning. Starlight, you really should treat Twilight's books better. And my ears wouldn't mind a little more consideration as well.
Oh, you found it while cleaning just now?
Starlight grinned broadly, her tone nervous.
Yes, definitely. I will totally be more careful with Twilight's books. Why don't you just give it to me, and I'll put it back where it belongs.
Nah, I'm headed down there anyways. No point in you bothering.
But...
Beads of sweat slid down her forehead.
I haven't finished with it yet.
She blurted out.
Oh.
Spike paused.
Well, seeing as you haven't finished reading it yet, I suppose I could give it back to you, as long as you agree to take better care of it this time.
Oh, I promise.
Starlight agreed, quickly reaching out a hoof for him to give it back to her.
Say, what part are you at?
Spike asked curiously. Starlight froze.
Part?
Yeah, what part?
The unicorn's eyes twitched.
Spike, did you?
She gulped.
Read it?
Did I ever?
He exclaimed enthusiastically.
I couldn't put it down. Clyde was incredible. The way he started off as a lowly scholar pony and then ended up getting caught in the mysteries of the Lost Pearl. And then there were all these villains that were trying to get at him and... Oh, right. You haven't finished it yet, have you?
Spike grinned sheepishly. Starlight Glimmer grinned nervously.
Nope.
Oh, well, anyway, it was really good. You'll really like it.
Spike passed the book to his friend on his way out, and with the door only half closed behind him, he peeked out and said,
Say, I'm going to ask Twilight to see if she can find any more April Mist stories. If she does, I'll let you know too.
Starlight smiled warmly over his shoulder at him.
Thanks, Spike.
No problem.
He chirped back in reply, just before tightly closing the door behind him and bounding down the palace stairs. Starlight Glimmer turned to look at the novel in her forehooves, cradling the lavender cover with a strange sense of wonder as if she were only looking at it for the first time. She opened it up to the title page. Clyde and the Lost Pearl of Trottinghoof by April Mist. She thought about these words for a moment. Then the glint of decision shone in her eyes. Her horn lit up with her magic, and she enveloped the quill pen on her desk with its teal aura. Dipping the feather point in the inkwell, she brought it close and crossed out the pen name, writing something in just beneath it. With a sense of deep satisfaction as she read the new inscription, her smile wide and her heart full. Clyde and the Lost Pearl of Trottinghoof by Starlight Glimmer. The unicorn closed the book and hugged it close to her chest.
Now, I'm finished,
she said contentedly.